Hello, my friends. I am your friend and your host, Rini Spencer, and I am so excited that you're here. This is something I truly look forward to doing every single week, and it is because of you guys that I can keep going. So thank you for being here. Today's topic is yet again kind of another tough one, but it is life-changing. You guys, once I realized this, my relationships changed, the way I saw life changed. And once I started working on this topic, guys, my entire life has changed, okay? And this topic is accountability. And I know that word can feel so uncomfortable, so raw, and somewhat accusatory if you are not in the right mindset. So this is what we're going to dive into today. And honestly, most of us avoid accountability like a plague. We don't actually understand what accountability is. So here's the truth. If you feel like you are just kind of stuck in life or your relationships, whether that be with a partner, a friendship, your family, they kind of just keep repeating the same exhausting patterns, or you are just filled with so much resentment, then there is a good chance that accountability is the missing link here. And it is 100% where you are, how you got here, and how you choose to show up just moving forward. And in this episode, we're going to break down what accountability is and what it's not, and the two different types of people, the one who takes accountability for their life and the one who doesn't. And not only that, we're going to learn 5 ways that we can show up and be accountable for our life today. And we're also going to shift through the dynamic of being defensive, blaming everybody else for where we are, and blaming everybody else for why we're unhappy in our own lives. So stick with me to the end because I'm going to be giving you 5 ways that you can actually actively start taking accountability. But we're going to learn how to change the dynamic in our relationships, our healing, and our entire future. I am so excited to dive into this topic. So let's go. Grab your journal, grab your coffee, and let's get into this. Here is something that might completely challenge the way that you have been thinking about accountability. And that is, you cannot hold somebody else accountable for anything. And this is exactly where our pain comes from. And I had to learn, researching this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is me. I'm actually very good at holding myself accountable. I love taking ownership of my choices, where I am, the dynamics of my relationships. But I also have felt like it is my job to hold the people in my life accountable for the things the things and the ways that they're not showing up. And so researching this, I'm like, oh my gosh, it just goes back to control, right? Like, you cannot control what anybody does, says, how they take accountability. And this is where we get stuck in this pattern of actually hurting ourselves. And when they mess up and they do something wrong and they hurt us, or let's just say we see their dynamic of their life and we see that their life choices are literally causing them to be exactly where they are, and we jump into this campaign trying to get them to understand it and admit where it is that they are actually going wrong, or even how they wronged us. And we just so badly want them to take ownership of it and just like, can't you hear me? Can't you see me? And this is where I'm at fault 100%. I have to take complete ownership of this. It's like when I'm hurt, I'm like, I need you to know and acknowledge that you hurt me, and you take accountability. I'm holding you accountable. But you can't. You literally can't hold anybody accountable for the wrong that they've done. And then we go into demanding explanations, apologies, and quite frankly, just awareness. Like anything that proves that they actually see what they did that was hurtful. But what I've learned is accountability, it just doesn't work that way. It's not something that you can just force onto somebody. True accountability is strictly internal. And no amount of begging and pleading and screaming and fighting your way will ever make somebody see the pain that they've caused you. Don't get me wrong, okay? This does not give anybody a free pass to just do whatever they want and hurt you in any way that they want to. Just because you can't hold somebody accountable doesn't mean you're powerless. But what you can do is you can hold them to a standard. right? So accountability is internal, standards are external. You don't need their permission to have standards. So let's say you're dealing with somebody who has really, really hurt you, and honestly, they just refuse to acknowledge and change their behavior. You don't just sit around stewing, building up resentment, waiting on them constantly to just take responsibility, right? You have to hold yourself accountable to your own standard. And let me tell you what that means. This is full circle coming back to what we all love to talk about, boundaries. If someone keeps violating a standard that you have clearly set, you don't have to wait for an apology or for someone to actually acknowledge the pain that they've caused or for some big moment of an aha self-awareness. You have to take action for yourself. And that might look like pulling back their access to you. You might have to redefine what your relationship is. You don't get to control whether or not they own their stuff, but you absolutely get to control how close they can get to you. And they're either going to rise to the standard or they're going to remove themselves from your life. And that's entirely their choice. You can't force them to do either one. But how you choose to respond, that is in your control. You have to be accountable for how you enforce your boundaries. It is all about yourself. And here's the thing, okay? When somebody is not ready to be accountable for their own life, even the most honest, heartfelt, loving conversation can truly feel like an attack to them. If someone comes to you and says, hey, like, this really hurt me, and you're stuck in defensiveness and shame, it can actually feel like they're blaming you, they're criticizing you, and they're tearing you down. But the truth is, they're trying to share their pain. And when we haven't done the internal work to face our actions, then somebody else's truth is really going to feel like a threat instead of an opportunity. We will hear correction as condemnation, and we're either going to shut down, lash out, or start justifying the reasons as to why we did what we did. But accountability, it requires emotional maturity. And that means learning to sit with the discomfort of somebody else's experience without making it about our own guilt. And it's not easy, but it is truly required for growth, repair, trust, and honestly, if you want your life to be different in any way. And I want to break it down because there are two types of people, okay? One who takes accountability for their life and their choices and the outcome, and the other who doesn't. The person who doesn't take responsibility for their life, they tend to operate from a completely powerless mindset. They move through the world feeling like things are happening to them. They believe they have very little control over their thoughts, their emotions, so they end up blaming everyone else or the circumstances or their childhood or their past marriage. They will literally find anybody and anything else to blame to justify where they are today. Their victim mentality keeps them stuck in cycles of conflict, frustration, and stress. And because they just stay stuck in that negative energy, they tend to attract more of the same type of toxic relationships, missed opportunities, and constant drama. Their life becomes an entire loop of complaining, gossiping, and feeling like they're always being wronged. Now, to the contrast of that, someone who takes ownership of their life, they understand that they are fully in charge of their own mindset. And not just their mindset, but their reactions and their emotions. And they don't waste their time blaming other people for where their life is today. They focus on what they can control. And because of that, they show up. And they show up calm and grounded and empowered. They face conflict with clarity and not chaos. They think creatively and they act with intention. And they naturally attract opportunities, support, and success. Their accountability builds their confidence. And their confidence fuels their growth. And to me, accountability is empowerment. If you're not holding yourself accountable, then you have completely cut yourself off from the power of being able to make real change. No one's coming to save you, okay? No one's coming to rescue you from your finances, from your relationship, from the body that you don't want. No one's coming to hold your hand and force you to go to the gym or force you to go on the walk. It's you versus you. And we constantly reach for our past traumas and our even childhood to blame, right? Like, how many of our own parents have said, well, it's not as bad as what I had, to try to justify their own actions to their children. And while those things are real and true, they aren't the whole story, right? You get to decide who you are going to be and how you show up and what action you take. And where you are in life today, you're the only person to blame for that. And if you want to be in the same spot next year, and the year after, and the year after, then keep doing the same freaking thing. But if you want next year to look different than where you are right now, it starts with accountability. And it is so much easier to say this is happening to me than admitting I'm the one keeping myself stuck. And this will help you realize if I'm the one who's allowing myself to be in this spot right now, today, then I have the power to change it. Life is so much better when you're like, yep, this is me. I take full ownership for where I am today, where my relationships are, and what needs to change. Now, you might be listening to this and feeling that tight kind of pull in your chest, thinking, oh my gosh, this is me. And maybe you're the one that's realizing you've been avoiding accountability. Maybe you're the one making excuses, deflecting blame, or waiting for somebody else to fix what you have broken. First of all, I want to tell you, welcome. You are 100% not alone. So if you're feeling shame right now, let that go and change that shame into awareness. And take a big breath, because right now you get to choose something different. I want you to start by asking yourself, and if you have a journal, get a journal and let's write this down, okay? I want you to ask yourself, where have I been reactive instead of reflective? Where have I been defining my intentions but completely been ignoring my impact? Where have I been blaming somebody else for where I am today? And then I want you to name it without any excuses. No justifications, no explanations. I want you to own it fully. I want you to get so curious about your patterns without trying to justify them. This right here, awareness and ownership, this is where your healing begins. And here's a really simplified way that I heard that I have to repeat to you guys that just shows how easy accountability really is. It's not overcomplicated like we all make it. So let's say you are walking through your house with a glass of milk, and then you trip and you fall, and that glass of milk just glass shatters, milk everywhere. Oh, what a frustrating moment, right? All you have to say is, I spilled the milk. Not, oh my goodness, I tripped over the dog, somebody rang the doorbell, my hands were full of all these things, I didn't mean to spill the milk, it was dark, I didn't see the step, you're the one that scared me and I jumped and spilled the milk. No, it's just, I spilled the milk. Your intentions carrying that glass of milk across the house are probably super pure. Does that mean you didn't spill the milk? Maybe you were even doing something good, like bringing somebody else the glass of milk. But what was the outcome? The milk is still on the floor. The glass is still shattered everywhere. It's not about your intention and what you were meaning to do with the milk. You spilt the milk. That's accountability. This is where so many people get it completely twisted. We think accountability is just like beating ourselves up or explaining away every factor that led to that moment. And all of those things can be true, right? So we're not saying that the facts don't matter, but the truth is you spilt the milk. that was the impact. So accountability, it doesn't just like erase your humanity, right? It's because you're human that you make mistakes. It's normal. We all do it. Every single one of us. And the problem is we can be so quick to point out everybody else's mistakes. But then when the tables turn and we're the ones that spilled the milk, we can't seem to own it. We waste all of our time on justifications and excuses and blaming others when really the power is in just being able to name it. You are not your mistakes. But what you choose to do from that moment, that becomes who you are. That's where your growth is, or is not. Now let's dive into just a little bit deeper about relationships and accountability, okay? Accountability in relationships is what separates healthy love from toxic patterns. It's not ever about being perfect. It's about being aware. We all have triggers, every single one of us. But our triggers, they're our responsibility. If every disagreement that you have leads to you shutting down or lashing out, exploding or ghosting someone, that's not emotional maturity. That's emotional avoidance. And let's talk about what accountability isn't. Because accountability isn't just I'm sorry, and then expecting everything to go back to normal again, and then being so upset because you're like, I already said I was sorry. Why are you still upset? It's not how it works. A real apology, it doesn't include the word but. The moment that you say, I'm sorry, but you are completely justifying your actions and taking the focus off the harm and the impact. And it's not I didn't mean to, it wasn't my intention to, but you did this, and if you didn't do this, I wouldn't do this, and you're causing me to act this way, and I shut down because you respond like this. None of this is accountability. In fact, that's not even an apology. All of this actually invalidates your apology. True accountability is solely focused on the action and the impact, not the other person's response, or whether you feel you are already worthy of forgiving and forgetting. And all of this is caused because people shift their focus and their mindset about you and your guilt. And then many people shift into shame. And the difference between the two is guilt says, oof, I did something wrong. And shame says, there's something wrong with me. And when somebody really struggles to actually be able to separate the two of those things, especially people who are completely rooted in personalities like narcissism, accountability becomes incredibly difficult. And this is why they can't admit when they've wronged somebody without it feeling like a personal attack. And apologizing and then doing the same freaking thing over and over and over, it's honestly just pure manipulation. And all it does is deepen the wound over and over again. Accountability, when you've hurt somebody, it's not a one-time thing. Think of it as an ongoing process of checking in to make sure that what you said was going to happen is actually happening. Real accountability is intentional and it's regular. And here's the truth, okay? True accountability, it cannot exist without clear, defined expectations. So if your goalposts are completely unclear, how do you even measure your progress, right? You've got to get really good at setting clear and realistic expectations. And then you, as the person who did the harm, have to follow up consistently to ensure that those expectations are leading to real and measurable results. Because we can think that we're doing all the work, and that's really comfortable for ourselves. But if we're trying to mend that relationship that we've done the damage to, we have to be really good at making sure that the other person feels and sees the results. And honestly, you are not grown unless you can communicate, apologize, and accept accountability without blaming somebody else. So if you have messed up and you're just like, shit, where do I even start? Like, how, this is me. I feel so convicted and I don't know what to say or how to make it right at this point, but I want to show up and I want to be different and I need to have that hard conversation. Here are 5 things that you can say to start building that trust again. But you have to follow them with action, okay? 1 is, I am not proud of how I acted. You did not deserve that. Can we please start over? Number 2, I am so sorry for how I reacted. I can see how completely hurtful that was. I'm seriously going to do the work and work on it. Number 3, I was projecting and I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry that I directed my anger at you. Number 4, I see that I really hurt you and I want to avoid that in the future. When you're ready, can we please talk about it? And number 5, can you help me understand where in this conversation you were hurt and it went wrong? I care about you so much and I want to avoid hurting you in the future. These are 5 things that you can say to start repairing the damage with real, honest accountability. And you don't have to have it all figured out. Stop trying to make this massive list and tackle it all at once. You just have to stop hiding from yourself. It's all about awareness. That's where the true change begins. I want you to start today with these 5 things. Number 1, stop sugarcoating the truth. Tell yourself the unfiltered truth. Be honest with yourself about where you are and how you got there, and ask yourself, what choices did I make that brought me where I am today? And what habits and patterns do I have that are keeping me stuck? And number 2, stop blaming external circumstances. Yes, your past, it can shape you, but it is not the excuse to stay where you are today. So start noticing that every time you say, I can't because, and change it to, I haven't yet because I haven't committed. This type of shift in language really puts you back into control and gives you your power back. It puts you right back into the driver's seat. And you can even just say in certain areas, I haven't because I haven't wanted to. Just take can't out of your freaking vocabulary, okay? Take it out. Another one is create daily routines. Set your small goals, track your habits, and reflect every night with the question, did I show up today the way that I said I would? And what did I avoid today that I actually really needed to face? And number 4, choose growth over comfort. I want you to lean into that discomfort. Don't run away from it. You have to make the hard decisions and have the hard conversations. And lastly, do what you say you are going to do. This is what is going to build your confidence. This will be your ripple effect. When you make a promise to yourself and you don't keep it, this directly impacts your self-esteem. Every time you say you're going to do something like, I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to set a boundary, I'm going to stop texting this person back, I'm not going to answer that toxic person's phone call, and then you don't follow through with that, your subconscious, it takes note. And over time, your brain fully believes that you're not going to do what you say you're going to do. And this belief about yourself, it becomes a quiet undercurrent running through anything that you're trying to attempt to do. You begin to doubt yourself. You feel like it's impossible to change, impossible to succeed. And not because you're incapable, but because you have built a habit of proving yourself wrong. And you have proven to yourself that your word, it doesn't hold any merit. So when you choose to do what you promise yourself that you're going to do, you actually start to rewire your brain. This is why I say it builds confidence and it becomes a ripple effect that will literally change your entire life. And all things aside, if you can't trust what you say you're going to do, you'll start to doubt other people. And the only way to change your self-esteem And to change your confidence is to take accountability and do the things that you say you're going to do. So I want you to just start with one thing, okay? Pick one thing that you're going to do and do it, whether that be go for a walk, 2 minutes. Doesn't have to be a whole hour. Go for a 2-minute walk. I'm going for a 2-minute walk. Do the 2-minute walk. Rewire your brain. Maybe it's making the call, having the hard conversation, actually apologizing to somebody who deserves the apology from you. The power isn't doing it all at once. It's proving to yourself that your word, it means something. So start with something, write it down, and challenge yourself every day. Pick something new. The night before, write that down. Tomorrow, I am going to do X. And then at the end of the night, when you're reflecting and did I do X? And this is going to be the stepping stone to a new life for yourself. So do these 5 things, which is tell yourself the unfiltered truth. Stop blaming external circumstances. Create a daily routine. Choose growth over comfort. And do what you say you are going to do. So start small, keep your promises to yourself, take accountability for where you are today in your life. Go mend those relationships with the accountability that not only they deserve, but you deserve for yourself too. Get rid of the shame. You are not your mistakes. Choose to show up for yourself. This is not just changing your story, you're writing your story. And how empowering is that? I'm your friend and your host, Rini Spencer, and I love you guys so much. And I will see you in the next episode.